obviously, we've made it to the Walter Pyramid. Nerves going crazy, tingles. I got shit sleep last night because of it. It's both excitement and nervousness. But this place is always cool to come visit and compete in. Should be a lot of fun today. If I can get past my first one, I'm already on the podium, and then 2 more to win the whole thing. So that's the goal today. That's not what I wanted. I'll show you.
I lost first round. God. I hate losing. I honestly thought I was going to podium this tournament. So what happened? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 3 things that I figured out and 3 things that I'm going to change to go from first round loser to champion. And even though these are going to be jiu-jitsu specific examples because of the tournament that I was just in, trust me, they're not jiu-jitsu specific. You can apply these to any of the very hard things you're trying to achieve this year. So I just met up with Suyan, my professor, and Josh, a guy I train with. We're all competing relatively around the same time. Suyan brought his scale. I checked in. I was 2 pounds over.
Suyan, what's the rule? If you're 0.1 over, you're disqualified, right?
Yeah.
There's no allowance?
No.
Nope. Okay.
So I went back to that gym and I did the jacuzzi for 30 minutes and now I'm 4 pounds under. The last time I had to cut weight for jiu-jitsu was like 7 years ago. There is a saying in the endurance community, nothing new on race day. And that basically means that the day before or the day of a big race or an event is the last thing you want to do is introduce something new to your routine. And I had to introduce weight cutting. And as you saw, it drastically affected my performance, my ability to perform at a high level. And this isn't something that came because of some poor decisions I made the day of or the day before. No, this was because of weeks, maybe even months before, with poor preparation, poor nutrition, poor accountability. So obviously, something's got to change. Cutting weight was a direct result of me being overweight, and me being overweight was a direct result of my diet. If you remember last year, prepping for the World Masters Championships, I decided to do a 75 hard. Well, I decided to do a 75 hard, and in doing one, I decided to do a World Masters. If you remember that stretch of time, the 75 hard had profound effects on the way I looked and the way I performed and felt. And that's mostly because of the changes I made to my nutrition and how much I trained. That is how much I have lost. That is honestly kind of nuts, don't you think? When it came to nutrition, it wasn't wide sweeping changes. I wasn't gorging on fast food, pizza, blah, blah, blah. But there were things I was doing like grazing on a bag of chips while I watched TV, stuff like that just added up over time. And so I've decided to go back to doing a 75 hard to help me prepare for this tournament in the first week of July. And just to clarify, I'm not doing a 75 hard. I'm just going to be doing the nutritional stuff that I did for that. So the first thing I want you to remember when trying to prepare to do a big thing is that tournaments or big events, wins and losses don't happen the day of the competition. They happen weeks or maybe even months prior to the competition. My preparation got me in trouble. It's what led me to doing the new thing on race day, which you should never do. So remember that. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and we were both just talking about our workouts. He was like, "Hey, what are you working out today?" And my response was, "I don't know, I'll figure it out." Later on in the workout, I started thinking about my loss in Long Beach, and it dawned on me that I don't have a plan. Like, I'm just winging it, a leaf in the wind. Like, Brandon, you're not a hobo, you need a plan. Plans do a few things, but most notably, they set very clear paths on how to go from where you are now to where you want to eventually end up. For example, and just roll with me on this, it's the first example that came to mind. Imagine somebody asking you for you to draw them a giraffe, and all you're left with is your imagination. I know for me, I'd probably draw them something that looked like a broom with the attached to a potato. That's probably what it would look like, if I'm being honest. But imagine if that person gave you one of those old school connect the dot art books, you know, with the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. At the end of it, you're gonna end up with something that looks relatively close to a giraffe. I love that the garbage truck, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The garbage truck just now shows up, right when I start to film outside. Also, plans will probably get you to do something that you're most likely neglecting. For example, I am horrible at doing single leg work in the transverse plane. And because of it, I'm weak in some areas, and it makes me more susceptible or prone to injury. However, when I am using the app that I'm using to work out, that has a strong emphasis in this app. A lot of single leg work, a lot of transverse plane, and even though it kind of sucks and I don't like doing it, it's making me stronger and it's helping me prevent injury. Oh, and that app is the Juggernaut BJJ app. This is not sponsored. This is something that I reviewed last year. You can watch that video. But I used it up until Worlds last year, and then for some reason, I guess maybe because I was done with Worlds, I stopped using it. And so now I've just got to get back in the habit of using that every time I go into the gym. And it is a fantastic app. It is the closest thing to personal training I have ever found in an app. And even though it says BJJ in the name, it would be so beneficial for anyone watching this if they're wanting to improve endurance, speed, strength, power, and mobility. Definitely give that app a look, because whether you were playing badminton, basketball, baseball, or you're a cyclist, it will help with that. Probably my favorite feature of this app, though, is that I can plug in the exact date that I will be competing at World Masters, and it programs everything to not only help me improve in those areas, again, mobility, strength, speed, power, but it helps me peak at the right time so that I can perform my absolute best for this World Championships coming up. Okay, so no more winging it. You've got to have a plan. Like, if you're wanting to do a 5K and you've never done a 5K, don't just get up off the couch and start running until you want to quit. Maybe actually get the Couch to 5K program and use that.
What are we talking about? Practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man.
Practice is practice, and no matter how good you get at practice, it's never going to be the same as a competition. Competition is a skill, and in order to improve that skill, you've got to expose yourself. Like, to that environment, not to the general public. That will definitely get you in trouble. A race, a tournament, a meet, those are all very, very different environments than the environment you usually practice in. When I was a beach volleyball player, I used to play every year in a tournament in Aspen, Colorado called the Motherlode. It's a huge tournament. And the environment is what made it so much fun. All of the onlookers, everybody watching is pretty much right on top of you, right on the court, always talking some sort of shit. I remember one year, it might have been my first year playing there, being on center court. That's like the main court where the majority of the people are watching. And we were playing, I think they were the number 2 ranked team at the time, but they were like the local team. They were the fan favorites. And we were playing them, and the entire game, everybody is sitting there chattering at you, saying something about your looks, like your game, like, and they're ruthless. They're not nice about it. And I remember very distinctly housing Vinny on one play, and some lady in the back yelled at me, "Hey, you're a tool." It was just so much fun, but I enjoyed it. But you can't like practice for that, right? Like if I would go and do a normal practice, just 2-on-2, maybe there are some other guys there. Nobody's talking shit to you like that. And it's just something you can't train for. You can't just expect to do practice all year and then go play in the one big tournament and win it. You've got to expose yourself to that environment as much as you possibly can. So playing all the little tournaments prior to the big one, even if you think they're beneath you. So for me, I've got my world champs in September. So I've got nationals next month, the 1st of July, and then a couple of smaller local tournaments before that, just to prep me. That way I'm better suited for the stresses, the adrenaline dump, etc., that you're gonna get from a tournament that you're not going to get from practice. Well, there you go. What did you think? Pretty solid advice, or did I leave something out? Let me know in the comments. Also, I would love to hear what you're planning on doing, the big hard thing that you're striving for this summer, and maybe we can help each other out. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.